Hello, and welcome to my Module 3 lab assignment, Neighborhood Biodiversity Challenge. I look forward to guiding you through my habitat. Let's go. The major habitat I live in is a desert. Although I live in the city limits, I receive the desert's arid climate, extreme temperature fluctuation. Certain times of the year, the desert can drop below freezing, and after a few weeks later, a blistering 100-plus degree day is upon you. Water conservation is a prominent goal. The state and cities have initiatives to drive consumers to conserve water. For example, Beat the Peak was a water conservation project by the Tucson City Water Company when I was a kid, and that was for us not to use water during the peak times of the day, which was between 4 and 6 p.m. As mentioned, my current location is on the Rito River Walkway. This two-lane bikeway travels east-west across the city of Tucson. The two-lane pathways line both sides of the dry riverbed, or as we call it here in Arizona, a wash. The wash is a very diverse habitat, a thriving ecosystem, as well as we will see. I captured species inside and outside the property wall. Our first look is at 3 tree species in my neighborhood, 2 native and 1 invasive. First is the blue palo verde tree. This native tree blooms bright yellow flowers each spring, with April being its peak season. Next is the velvet mesquite, one of the edible plants in Arizona. This medium-sized tree is part of a family that is adapted to the desert. April, too, is this tree's season, sprouting vibrant green leaves. Last is an invasive species, the jujube tree. This introduced tree has an early fall season, producing edible jujube fruit, aka a Chinese date. Moving into the exciting animals in my habitat, the magnificent creatures are hard to capture with an iPhone, so I posted a stock photo of the animal above the photo that I took. First is the broad-billed hummingbird. These beautiful keystone species is easily distinguished by its bright orangish beak. Interesting fact about this little bird, they use spider webs for glue for their nests, and they are active night feeders. In the middle is our resident Cooper's hawk. This spectacular animal visits regularly. In this photo, he or she has just secured a meal in his or her talons. Next is an animal that strolled by last night. This is the javelina, or peccary. This pig-like creature is a native and extends through the southwest desert into Mexico. Often underestimated as a slow and clumsy animal, this animal is responsible for numerous human engagements each year, and these attacks can be very serious, even deadly, as the javelina has very formidable tusks. Next is the desert mourning dove, is another bird in my neighborhood habitat. This bird species is prominent throughout the desert. This common bird can be found throughout the natural habitat as well as urban communities. Next is this little guy, a desert rock squirrel. There's a family of them that live down in that hole. They forage around in the grass and the dirt all day, never too far from the hole. The Cooper's hawk is never too far away, and yesterday took a run at those squirrels. Luckily, they missed. 2 other animals that are regulars in my neighborhood habitat are the bobcat and coyotes. For obvious reasons, I did not seek a photo with these desert predators. This slide shows 3 significant migrators to Arizona. The lesser long-nosed bat, the rufous hummingbird, and the monarch butterfly. The special feature of these species are that they are all pollinators, serving a critical function for biodiversity and ecosystem sustainability. The climate of this desert habitat is consistent with the characteristics of a desert ecosystem. The temperatures can be extreme. Rainfall is scarce. I would not suggest that there was 4 seasons in the desert, but certainly there is a spring, and it is easy to tell when spring is on the way. Our wonderful blue palo verde trees bloom bright yellow flowers. Tucson, the last 100 years, has seen growth and expansion, but at drastic damage to habitats and biodiversity. The image here is of the same intersection nearly 100 years apart. The picture on the right, circled in yellow, is the approximate spot of the lone building on the picture on the left. I selected this intersection of town for this research as my family was integral in the expansion of Tucson Medical Center. So unfortunately, and technically, we put our footprint on this habitat destruction. Arizona is home to a significant number of endangered plants and species. Here we see 2 endangered animals, the black-footed ferret and the Mexican gray wolf. On the plant side, I believe I identified the endangered hedgehog cactus on the horse ranch that I'll be moving to in a few weeks. So when I move in, I will make sure that I apply a proper stewardship to that cactus. There are many invasive species that I discovered throughout the research. Disappointingly, I cannot find any examples in my habitat, so I needed to use stock photos. I could not locate any specific endangered habitats in my direct area. However, as mentioned earlier, the Sonoran Desert is home to many endangered species, and for that, one can argue that the Sonoran Desert itself is endangered, or at least threatened. For part 2 of the assignment, I traveled across my habitat, the Rillito Wash, to Rio Visto Park, a natural resource park. This was my first visit, and my journey began down the horse trail to the wash. I decided to take advantage of the crisp morning. It was about 48 degrees, and it was about 7:30. I had a hot cup of coffee, and I was planning to stay for about 30 minutes. For the identification part, I used the Seek app. The first plant identified was the woolly butterfly bush. This native plant blooms in its peak season of April. An adaptable plant, it has been known to grow on limestone. The next plant I had not noticed in the desert before. This is a sacajusta, pardon my French, also known as bear grass. The spike-looking plant shares the same plant family as the asparagus. Getting images of animals and insects was a bit tricky here. Here I've taken an image of the cactus wren, the Arizona state bird. The image is blurry, so I posted a stock photo from Google Photos for clarity. The insect that I located, the desert fire-tailed dragonfly, was especially tricky to capture a photo of. For the same reason of the cactus wren on the previous slide, I am posting a Google stock photo of the desert fire-tailed dragonfly. It is the males that have the bright red tails, so I am very confident I saw the female. Spring is upon us in Arizona, which means the reptiles come out of hibernation, like lizards. This little zebra-tailed lizard ran right in front of me, perhaps looking for his 15 minutes of fame. These lizards can raise their tail, mimicking a scorpion, it looks like. His camouflage is exquisite. He almost becomes invisible against the desert floor. For the remaining part of the lab, a biodiversity index was performed. I was fortunate to get an appropriate number that could be validated by a visual inspection of the habitat plot. The blue palo verde tree visually looks to be a prominent figure in the habitat, and that was validated by the high biodiversity index number. The results for the cactus wren were not surprising. This is a common bird that can be seen just about anywhere in the desert. Once again, it is our state bird. In conclusion, the overall experience of this lab was very positive. The activities continue to spark a deeper interest in the learning of biodiversity, but also how I can apply the learning to be a responsible steward of a habitat I am blessed to be moving to. Understanding the interactions in a biodiverse ecosystem is significant for me, as I will be encountering numerous new species, and want to act responsibly. Thank you.